Learning something new can be difficult. Which of the following statements is true for you? In this video, you'll find out how your brain learns and how you can use that information to improve your study skills. This is your brain. How much do you think it could store? A PlayStation 4 could store 1 trillion bytes of data. Do you think your brain could store that much? Actually, scientists believe it's 10 times that much at least, maybe 100 times that much, and it could be even more than that. So how much is 100 trillion bytes of data? Well, that's about 50,000 full-length movies or 6 copies of Wikipedia. So if you're wondering how much you can learn, the answer is more than you know right now. To find out how learning happens, let's look at some expert learners, babies. Babies learn a lot in a short period of time. They're born with about 100 billion neurons, and those are the building blocks of learning. Here's a diagram of a neuron. Neurons have a nucleus and an axon and dendrites. When the dendrites grow and connect to the axons of other neurons, that's where learning happens. The connection between the neurons is called a synapse. And as you practice what you're learning over time, the synapse gap grows closer together and what you're learning becomes easier to understand and remember. Back to babies. Babies are born with lots of neurons but very few connections between them. As they grow and learn to walk and talk, the neurons grow dendritic spines and make connections with other neurons. Before long, they've made lots and lots of connections. So what happens when you learn something new? Neurons grow dendrites. That means your brain is already in learning mode right now. And neurons connect to other neurons when they connect old information to new information through a synapse. Connecting what you're learning to something you already know helps grow those synapses. The connection grows easier to find, faster, stronger when these connections are practiced. So giving your brain time and practice builds really strong connections. Select all the statements that are true. Let's talk about time and practice. The Ebbinghaus forgetting curve shows that if you do nothing to review the material you've learned in class, within about 24 hours you'll have lost 80% of your retention of the material. But if instead you review your material regularly, you'll stand a really great chance of remembering most of what you've learned. This is called spaced repetition. Review your notes as soon as possible after class and write down any questions you have. Review your notes again before going to bed. Review your notes at least once the next day. Review your notes every day if possible. But how can you review to step up your learning even more? It's just not enough to read over your notes. Pair your reading with active recall to really unlock the power of those connections. After you've read through your notes, close them and see how much you remember. Then open your notes again and see how you did. Flashcards are another great way to use active recall. Just put the question on one side of the card and the answer on the other. Make sure your answers are correct though, because what you practice is what you're going to learn. When going about your day, eating dinner or walking the dog, whatever you're doing, try to recall what you're learning. Even better, try teaching it to someone else. You could even teach the dog. So let's check your understanding by answering the following question. Next time you're trying to learn something new, try spaced repetition, reviewing your notes and working practice problems over several sessions over several days and weeks, and active recall. Try to recall what you're learning using flashcards, teaching someone else, or just close the book and test yourself. Developing a plan for each class and working the way your brain works actually makes learning easier. Try it for yourself and see.